there's just not a lot of margin for errors. And, we had a really great first half and not quite as good second half, but we had a good, what we got done. I didn't think the energy was quite there, so get some rest tonight, sharp one tomorrow, and ready to go.
On reassessment, how did you feel like looking at the film? Was it pretty accurate?
Yeah, pretty accurate. I mean, we did not guard the same way. I mean, they shot 66%, guys. That's illegal, and some of it was them, but some of it was us. And I just didn't think we brought the same pop. And like I said, I tried to understand it. Everything that goes on, you understand until it becomes the norm. It becomes the norm. One game you do it, 2 games. When it's the 3rd game, in the second half, you fall asleep just because you have a big lead. That's not good enough. Some things that go on during the game, if I'm upset about things, it's because they happened the game before and the game before that. So it's never one thing, and that's what we're trying to get through to these guys to be different on. It's a process.
Do you mind sharing? Kid from Illinois, the freshman. How do you deal with him?
I tell you, to me, he's one of the best players I've seen. I mean, I think they're the best team I've seen so far. And I haven't seen Purdue. I haven't watched them to do that. But most of the other teams I've seen, I just think they're the best team so far. They have size. They have 4 shooters that can shoot it everywhere. Those 2 guys are not real young. One's a little younger than the other one, but they've got some experience. They played in pro leagues over there, and that's what he looks like. He's very comfortable in his own skin, not cocky, very unselfish. Looks like a pleasure to coach, to be very honest with you. I mean, I was really impressed watching him.
You see some of these teams that try to put together almost a whole new roster year after year, and it's not worked. There it kind of has. What is the difference when what do you think the key to that is?
I think when you get kids from overseas like that, I always tell our foreign kids, don't become Americanized. Don't go down that rabbit hole. And I think if you talk to Brad, he'd tell you that he really enjoys. There's not a lot of who's worried about NIL, who's worried about the things that most guys here worry about. They're excited to play basketball, at least that's what I've been told. And so he's got 2 of them that really are big difference makers. And then he's got the kid, Hemrick House, who, started at NAI school, and then he went to Evansville. And when you get those guys like that have some experience, but haven't been pampered, I think those are different kinds of guys. So I think he did a good job maybe selecting who he wanted. Tyson Walker was a good example for us. So Shaman has been a good example, been in different places, hasn't come from high major to high major. I'm not saying always it doesn't work, there's always it does. And I don't know what his team's like. I mean, I talk to him once in a while, I know he felt about those guys. But he's done a good job, and they've done a good job, and that's why in my mind right now, they got a couple losses. Number one of them was when he didn't play. One of them, they played a couple good teams and had tight games, but that is right now the best team in the league, and that includes us.
And he's getting defensive rebounding out of those guys too. He's got new players, but they do well there, don't they?
They got size, and the freshman he's got, we recruited a little bit. Johnson, he's a good player, man. He's tough as nails. He's Antonio Smith with more size and a little more basketball to him, but strong as an ox, 255 freshman. He's got a nice combination. And then he's got the other kid, other small guard, who's been there a couple of years. So, he's got
Tom,
a
is
nice
Sunday a
job.
test your team has to pass?
No, I wouldn't put everything on Sunday. It's a team, it's a game I'd like to see us pass the test on how we play, because there's just too much season left. And as you saw last night, there's just games are just what I told you, And so, as an example, Illinois lost a couple games that nobody thought they'd lose. So I don't look at for any of us. What it is, it's important we play well, and then well might not be good enough. But it's important we play well, I think, to figure out about our team. But it's still way too early. It's not the 16-game schedule or the 18. It's still 20 games.
You're eager for these guys to get a tough test, though, man.
I am. And that's kind of unfair of me too. Like beginning of the year after Ohio State beat Kentucky by 20 points, and we got to go on the road there, and then they lose a couple games, and they almost beat Wisconsin, but we kind of don't give ourselves credit. I don't. I'm guilty of that. But I know what the schedule is, front-loaded, back-loaded, the best I can know. And yet I don't know where teams are going. So it's really important that we just stay focused on the next game, and that we're not as good as 10 in a row. We're not as good as undefeated in the league. We're a good basketball team that's looking to become great. Games like this, I told them how lucky they are. When I first got the job, I begged for games like this. CBS in the house, primetime game, two big teams. Had that last couple of years, haven't had that as much. So I said, take advantage of the opportunity you got, because they're not always here.
You get a sense that they're looking forward to sort of seeing an upper-tier Big Ten team and seeing what that looks like, testing themselves against a team like this?
I hope they are. Yeah, I think they are. I really do. I think they were excited. I told you, walking in the locker room, the first thing Chase Richardson said was, hey, now we got a big game. Well, you hope every game's the same, but we all know it's not. So they're aware that it's a bigger game. They're aware it's a real good team. It's a team that went to the, Elite Eight last year. Different team or not. They got players that have played a lot more games. They got freshmen and sophomores that have played a lot more games than my guys.
Do you mind sharing what you told the team over there at the end of practice? You had them all in front of you?
Oh, of course I mind sharing it. That's why I whispered.
We were taking too much. We were making too much noise over here to hear it.
That was for my eyes and ears only. That wasn't anything.
It was worth a shot.
How do you guys approach the defending piece with Yakachon? I think that's how
we're going to throw different guys at him, some with size, some smaller. But he's got a step back three. It doesn't seem to get fazed by anything. I said for a freshman, Jace is unbelievable. He doesn't. The big moments don't even faze him, right? It doesn't seem to anyway. This guy has done it, but he's played, again, I don't know how many years of pro ball, but how many games he's played against really good players. So he's not intimidated. He's not going to be intimidated by the place. He's not going to be intimidated. But hopefully our fans will get at it a little bit. Hopefully we will get at it a little bit, and see if we can do something. Not many people have been able to stop him so far.
I was going to say, with Frankie, coming off his offensive game, I guess not just how important he is defensively in this game, but what you kind of seen from him since he got here. It seems like he's
gotten better defensively. Yeah. I wouldn't say he'll be on him. A little different. There's other guys I think I can put him on, but he'll play some 4-2, and that we think we got some matchups there. But Yukachonis or whatever, however you say it, number 32. It's easier for me. He'll be guarded by the best defenders we got. I'm not sure that'll be enough. That's how good I think he is, and I really mean that.
How different, when you look at what your team as you began the year, when you went, early games against Kansas and Maui, how much more do you know about this group now, and how different are you today than you would say you were a month and a half ago?
Yeah, I told you after that game, I thought we were bad. I thought we played bad. I didn't think we were a bad team. I thought we played bad. And yet we were in there. But I also told you I thought Kansas was good, but I didn't think they were elite at the time either. So, but it's hard to find anybody that is elite. And I think we're a much better team than we were. But we went, remember now, a month and a half, couldn't make a three. Now we're ahead of them, ahead of Illinois in the rankings for three-point shooting. I wouldn't say we're great yet. I still think turnovers are going to be important. I think, we're both 1-2 in rebounding in the league, and I think that's going to be a big determinant of the game. and then they can't go crazy from three, which they're capable of. They got 4 guys that can really shoot it, including their son.
Do you find that in the time the guys, like when you win 10 in a row and you're obviously upset about it, that maybe the freshmen, the guys that haven't experienced that, then learn and they're just kind of conditioned to know that you have a standard?
Yeah, I think they probably thought I was crazy, to be very honest with you. Probably some of the sophomores, some of the juniors, most of the fans, my wife, I think they all thought, because they just don't, it's hard to understand that I know how good we are, and I said it, we're a good team, and we're working towards being really good, but we're not like some of the teams I've had. Can we get there? Maybe, I mean, we have the depth, we have the camaraderie, we have the ability to play different ways, different sizes, different lineups, different matchups, but just haven't been quite as consistent as I would like, and that includes in the same game. If we would have done that, had a 40-point, gave up 40 points in the second half once, I would have questioned it against Washington, because I don't think that's what you do if you're trying to be different and you're trying to be special. Then it happens twice. I did question it, and it happened the third time. I worry about it.
So staying with that, your displeasure after the game, your senior Jaden, when it was mentioned to him that you weren't happy, his comment was, "Coach sees the big picture." So what does it mean when you have a senior that can respond and say,
I think Jaden sees it too. I mean, he wasn't happy. I mean, it wasn't like our locker room was all happy. I mean, they know. And you do got to enjoy the victories. I mean, you can't not enjoy, but the saddest part of the whole night for me is we scored 90 points. I mean, that's the most we've scored in a Big Ten game in a long time.
Without threes falling, too.
Without threes falling. And so there was a lot to celebrate. It wasn't the one game. It wasn't 2 games. It was 3 games, and it was our future. And so I just told him I wasn't happy with it. No big deal. We move on. I think you're right. I think some of them weren't happy with it. But it is hard to understand, because I'm sure if you look on that stupid box you're carrying, everybody was telling them how great they were. If you look at kids in school the next day, it was. So I'm not trying to downplay it, and I don't ever do that either, where I just try to say something to get our team ready to play. I'm more real about things. The reality of the whole thing was we got to play better for 40 minutes.
Well, Jaden had mentioned a year ago some of those games you'd have lost.
Well, that's where I got to get better. I got to appreciate that you're exactly right. I got to appreciate that we lost 5 games. We had leads and we let them go. And this team has been different in that respect. I wish it wouldn't keep checking it though, like at some of the games we've been in. But for the most part, too, we've beaten some teams handily. And so there's some good to that. And if you want to be really good, those are all good things. Now, if you want to be great, those are part of the stepping stones that we got to get better at.
You touched on it earlier, but when you look at the defense, what were some of the corrections that you saw? I know that you had some foul trouble at guard positions.
Yeah, we had some foul trouble. We weren't getting up on the ball screens. I think we were a step slow, which means, we weren't intense like we needed to be. They shot 66 and 40-some% from the 2 and 3 in the second half. I don't know when we've scored 90 in a Big Ten game. I don't know of a Big Ten team that shot 56% and a half against the Seagulls. So it works both ways. But I'm making too big a deal about it. You're not. I adjust it with my team. That's what I do. But if we can win and score 90 points, there's a lot more good in there than bad. And if it was a normal day, I'd have been great. 3 in a row, I wasn't great. It's over. They know it. We've had good meetings, and good practices, and we'll get better.
I was going to ask you about the lack of threes versus the scoring that you've been able to do. It's a rarity in this game. What's led to maybe
get to the free throw line a little more. Our break still helps us a little more. We got 68 shots up in that game. They get 70. They average 70. Now, a lot of that is because they're getting 14, 15 offensive rebounds. And you don't turn the ball over a lot. That was another issue in that game. We had 3 turnovers at halftime. We were ecstatic. And then we had a couple of second half, not bad. Then all of a sudden we had 4 in a row. 10-point lead went to 3. At Northwestern we had 5 in a row. Those things got to be corrected. Now, either I got to do a better job calling timeout, or my quarterback on the court got to do a better job in making sure we get a good shot at the right time.
Does it help too that it's not a 2-3 guard passing? You guys have been passing the ball.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, listen, I love my team. My guys have been great. I just know that what we are is a very good team if we keep everybody playing well together. But not as talented a team as some I've had. So when those little things don't go right, it raises problems a little bit more than normal. And I'm cool with that. That's why we got to say we got to be different. We got to strengthen numbers, and we got to just keep pedal to the metal.
Keeping 10 guys on that same high level, all playing well together, is that more on you guys as coaches to all keep them on that same page?
Yeah, it's very
difficult. Or is it on the captains?
It's very difficult. It's on us. I mean, it's hard to do. And as I said, a couple of minutes have gone down, a couple of minutes have gone up. We got in foul trouble for the first time, and it changed some things. It's going to shrink a little bit, but I still think I'll play that many guys. I just think the times, might change a little bit. Some guys might be playing in the lower teens, and some guys in the upper 20s. That could be an adjustment. That isn't a major adjustment, but guys have been good about it. They understand. Last game we had to go small for a while. Some games we'll have to go small. There's a couple games coming up we'll have to go big the whole time. So different guys have been playing and more minutes, and that's good.
Anything else for Coach, guys?
Which one? I was curious about how you thought Frankie has adjusted to how his role has kind of shifted. He was kind of the guy at Omaha. He's a starter at first.
Yeah, it's hard to do that. It's really hard to do that. And he did really well in the summer. He struggled a little bit in the fall. I don't know why. I think a lot of guys struggle, and that's why I said after Christmas is when guys start getting better. But I think, moving him around, playing him at the 4 a little bit, where he might have played a little bit more at the college he was at, has helped. And he played with a lot of energy. It wasn't his shooting; he was 1 for 4 from the 3. It was his rebounding. He had 4 steals. He just played with more energy, and that's probably what he's got to learn to do. And he always works hard. He's in here every night, so that's not a problem. We're going to be okay. A lot on Sunday's game. That's good. I hope every fan, I hope every media member, I hope everybody puts a lot. You're here because you can play in those games. It's a privilege. It's not that we should make sure we understand it's a privilege. But that privilege, if you're going to play against the best teams, takes your best effort, or you won't win those games. Simple.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.